Peter Eliades with you. This is Thursday, December 12th. A very fruitful day today. A lot of material given to us, a lot of information in terms of cycle projections. So let's start right out with it. It could be one of our longer updates, at least recently. So I'm starting out this time with the DJIA. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average because there are a lot of pertinent projections on the daily charts. This is a nominal 10-day projection. We didn't have this projection yesterday. We not only have it today, but it was confirmed as you see it going above both the offset lines here, giving an upside projection on the Dow on an intraday basis to 28,444.28 to as high as 28,649.92. That's the nominal 10-day projection, 3.5 to 4 day offsets. Let's look at the very next projection, nominal 20-day. The Dow is one of the few averages that showed a lot of these today. Some of the other ones, these are fresh projections for the Dow today. So this is the nominal 20-day projection. These are 7 to 8 day market day offsets. We're not going to go into that whole theory. Those of you that are interested, we can tell you about it later. Those of you that have been watching, I think, are well aware of what we're doing with the offsets here. This one calls for 28,444.28 to 28,649.92. This is an important number, 28,444.28, because if we meet this lower part of the projection, I think all the other projections that are outstanding, except for one perhaps, will have been met. So that's the nominal 20-day projection. The next one is the nominal 5-week projection. And the nominal 5-week projection, as you can see up here, has already been met earlier on, but now a new one has been generated just today, and that projection calls for 28,427.89 to 28,591.43. This is on the Dow. So these are three new projections that would actually two of them new given today. And finally, the nominal 40-week projection, which is the one that we've been looking at a lot with the S&P. Haven't looked at it too much lately on the Dow. And this is the one that is way up there. As you can see, this projection calls for 29,607 on a minimum basis on the DJIA. That's about 3.1% higher than we are now. Don't throw that projection away as being impossible. We'll talk about it a little later in relation to a few other things, but that's the highest now projection outstanding on the Dow. The upper end of it is higher than that, 30,212 and change. But this one could be reached. Now, again, let me point out, this projection looked like it had been invalidated a couple of times, but I don't think we ever got below both offset lines, which it would take, my theory, to do the invalidation. It's possibility. It came really, really close. So this is not the highest of confidence projections up here because it may have been invalidated. We just want you to know that there is a reason to go up this high in the Dow over the next couple of weeks. This thing is setting up, so we may see a very important turn in this season of Christmas and New Year going into 2020. So that's it for the Dow. Let's next go to the S&P. And the S&P, not as many interesting projections as the Dow, because some of them have already been met, and there are other ones, newer ones, that were not given. But here is the S&P and its nominal 10-day projection. We've been showing you this over the past couple of days. The prices have been down here, came really close to invalidating the last couple of days. Nope, did not do it. And here we are getting very close to that upside today. So on the S&P, the nominal 10-day upside projection calls for 3184.24 to 3195.54. Isn't it fabulous the way you can just do a little click on the little box here and it gives you the exact numbers? I could never do that before. I had to measure the whole thing out and subtract from the midpoint and go to the low and whatever. This software does it all for you, and here it is, 3184.24, 3195.54. That's the nominal 10-day projection, and there's no reason to expect that will not be met. So are we at a top yet? The cycle projections are telling us no, we're not. The only other one I want to look at here is our old friend, the nominal 40-week projection. Let's take a look at this. And remember back on the 27th of November, right in here, let's zoom in on this because this is interesting. Back on the 27th, this is how close we got. We didn't quite meet it at the time, and I think I told you at the time we didn't quite meet it, but boy, that looks close enough to call it successful projection. But it wasn't close enough for the cycle projections, and so they went down to sideways a little bit, sideways, and today we fully met for the first time since the December low of last year from which it's measured. We fully met this upside projection on the lower basis. That doesn't mean that we can't go any higher. Let's zoom back out on this so we can give you those exact numbers again. 3158.63 to 3331.11 on the S&P cash. So the high today, 3176.28, completely fulfilling the lower side of this projection. That's important, okay? So the maximum nominal 40-week projection is way up here at 3331.11. So that's it for the S&P. Let's next look at the index that I think tends to give the most accurate projections, and most consistently accurate, I should say, and that's the New York Composite Index. The New York Composite Index did a couple of other things today, which we'll look at on that little magical trend line later on in the update. This is the New York Composite Index nominal 10-day projection. Look at this. It looks like it hit it. I think we missed by the tiniest bit, but let's zoom in on that and take a look. Yeah, see this little space in here? So we just missed meeting it. But let's give you the numbers. I know not too many people follow the New York Composite Index, but it's a very important index because it includes all the stocks on the New York Exchange. The numbers for this are 13,728.44 to 13,771.59 on the New York Composite Index nominal 10-day projection. Let's see, the other one on the New York Composite Index is the nominal 20-week projection. The only reason this has any importance at all is this is the upper side of the projection at 13,773.59. Today's high was 13,725.35. So we're approaching the upper end of this nominal 20-week projection. That could be important. Okay, let's take a look at the New York Composite Index. No, let's look at this while we're here. This is the daily advanced decline line of the New York Stock Exchange. Here's the daily AD line down here, down below, and above it is closing prices for the S&P 500. Notice that they both went to new all-time highs today. You very, very seldom see a market top when the S&P and Dow are going to new highs along with a daily AD line. That's what we're seeing today. And so that argues against any kind of top right here and now. Has it ever happened before? Yes, it has. I told you the other day that I would show you a time period when there was a top in the AD line, and one of the few times in history, in fact, a top in the AD line that was consistent with the top that we saw in the popular market averages. Here it is right here. I've got the date marked off here. This is November 29th, 1968. Here's the AD line. Now, it wasn't an all-time high, but I think, let's see how high that was. Yeah, it was kind of it had come up for about a year, but it was a high on the AD line. You do not expect to see highs on the AD line and highs on the S&P at an important market top. How important was this top in December of 68? One of the most important tops of the last century, because the average share of stock, the secondary stock indexes, from late November, early December of 68 to the end of 1974 declined 75 to 80% over a 6-year period. It was a 6-year bear market. People thought it would never end at the time. So this was an important top in both the AD line and the popular market indexes, and it was very rare. So I'm not showing you that to say that we're at a top now again too, but it's a possibility. It can happen that way. It's very rare, but it has happened before. The only other thing I want to look at now is this little guy here. This is our, what I call the mystical, magical, whatever you want, trend line that has been fabulous in delineating market turns. We got a good bit above it today, but that's happened before. If I go back historically, not only did we get above it when it was acting as resistance, but we got below it when it was acting as support. I mean, there are a lot of instances. You take a look at this instance here, when it was acting as support in 2011 and 2012. We got way below it here for a day or two and had a dramatic turnaround. Don't be surprised if you see something like that now. But I also want to point out that one other thing we did today was, for the first time in almost 2 years, we went to a new all-time high New York Stock Exchange index. So I've been telling you now for several weeks, if not for a few months, that this would be a very important and critical price zone right here. If you get above both of these lines substantially for more than, let's say, 3, 4, 5 trading days, I'll allow it maybe a week. But if it goes up here and stays here for a week or so, or if it doesn't even do that but goes significantly higher, you're talking about a market that's trying to tell you something about its internal strength. I don't think that's going to happen. We're so close with some of the other projections, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. So that's where we stand. An important day in the market today. Here's the other chart, the other technical indicator I want to show you. Look below at the 14-period RSI on a daily chart. It's into perfect setup for a market top. What you see a lot of times at a market top is you move well above 70 on the 14-period RSI. You get a good decline, usually holding above the 50 level. Then you rally back to a new high, and with that new high that you rally back above, you're seeing divergence on the RSI. So that's something that's important here. It could even go a little higher. The ideal situation would be to see the RSI get to 70, which is an exact overbought reading. Higher highs in the index, lower high in the RSI, marking an important market top. Those are the things we're looking at. These are exciting times. We have exciting projection for you here, too. Projection software that we have for you. And this is telling you which way the market's going to go, so pay attention to it. So this is important, these lines in the New York Composite. Go to the bottom right of your screen. Click on the banner, the red banner, to subscribe. Once you subscribe, click on the bell. That'll make you a subscriber. Thanks a lot for watching.